My girlfriend humiliated me when she spat, "You're absolutely worthless," at the Upscale restaurant before abandoning me with the check. "Nobody will ever love you," she sneered loudly. I remained calm and executed my plan perfectly. She trembled when 13 frantic calls later, her reputation lay completely shattered. I never thought I'd be sitting alone at a table set for two, staring at a $300 bill for a meal I barely touched. The whispers from nearby tables felt like daggers as the remnants of Melissa's words hung in the air. "You're absolutely worthless." Her voice had risen with each syllable until the entire restaurant fell silent. Couples stopped mid-conversation. Waiters froze with plates in hand. And there I was, the center of unwanted attention, my face burning with humiliation as my girlfriend of 3 years stormed toward the exit. "Nobody will ever love you," she sneered loudly, making sure everyone heard her parting shot before disappearing through the door. I sat there, paralyzed. The white tablecloth, the flickering candle, the half-empty wine glasses, everything blurred as my mind raced to process what had just happened. But unlike the countless times before when her outbursts left me apologizing for things I hadn't done, something inside me had finally snapped. Have you ever reached that breaking point where suddenly, with perfect clarity, you realize you've been tolerating the intolerable? That moment when the fog lifts and you see the manipulation for what it really is? Melissa and I met during my final year of college. She was brilliant, ambitious, and had this magnetic energy that drew everyone to her. For the first 6 months, everything was perfect. She was attentive, affectionate, and made me feel like the luckiest guy alive. But looking back, the red flags were there from the beginning. It started with small criticisms. My clothes weren't stylish enough, my friends weren't ambitious enough, my career goals weren't impressive enough. Each comment delivered with a smile and a "I'm just trying to help you improve" that made it impossible to object without seeming ungrateful. Then came the isolation. One by one, my friendships began to fade as Melissa found fault with everyone in my life. My best friend Jake was using me. My college roommate was holding me back. My sister was jealous of our relationship. Before I knew it, Melissa had become my entire world, exactly as she'd planned. The public humiliation began about a year in. Small jabs at social gatherings that could be played off as jokes, backhanded compliments in front of colleagues. Each incident slightly worse than the last, like a slowly boiling pot with me as the unwitting frog. But tonight was different. Tonight, she'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. The argument had started over something trivial. I'd liked a former classmate's Instagram post. In Melissa's world, this was an unforgivable betrayal. As we sat at one of the most expensive restaurants in the city, a place she'd insisted on for our anniversary, her accusations grew increasingly irrational. "You're still in love with her, aren't you?" she hissed, her knuckles white around her wine glass. "Melissa, I haven't spoken to Sarah in years. It was just a photo of her new dog," I explained for the third time, keeping my voice low. "Do you think I'm stupid?" Her voice rose sharply. "I see how you look at other women, how you deliberately try to embarrass me." The couple at the next table glanced over, then quickly looked away. "Can we please talk about this at home?" I whispered, feeling the familiar knot of anxiety tightening in my chest. That's when she stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "You're absolutely worthless," she spat, her face contorted with rage. "Nobody will ever love you." And then she was gone, leaving me with the bill for a meal that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. What would you do in that situation? Would you chase after her, apologizing for something you didn't do? Would you slink away in embarrassment? Or would you finally say enough is enough? As I sat there, something strange happened. The shame and humiliation began to fade, replaced by a calm I hadn't felt in years. For the first time, I saw Melissa's behavior with perfect clarity, not as my failing, but as her deliberate strategy to control me. I thought about all the times she'd tested my loyalty with similar public scenes, how she'd ignore me for days afterward until I begged for forgiveness, how she'd use these incidents as leverage for months, after what you did at the Petersons' dinner, or remember how you embarrassed me at the company party? But most importantly, I remembered who I used to be before Melissa, confident, surrounded by friends, close to my family. Somewhere along the way, I'd lost myself, and it was time to find my way back. The waiter approached cautiously, concern evident in his eyes. "Sir, is everything all right?" I took a deep breath. "Actually, no, but it will be." As I paid the bill, I noticed my hands weren't shaking anymore. I felt oddly at peace as I formulated my plan. That was quite a scene. The waiter said quietly as he processed my payment, "If you don't mind me saying, you deserve better than that." His simple kindness nearly broke me. "Thank you," I managed, my voice thick. "My sister was in a relationship like that," he continued, handing back my card. "It took her years to realize it wasn't her fault. Just take care of yourself, man." Walking to my car, I called Jake, the friend Melissa had labeled toxic and forced me to distance myself from 2 years ago. "Alex, is that really you?" His surprise quickly turned to concern when I explained what happened. "I've been waiting for this call, buddy. We all have. What can I do?" "I need your help," I said, outlining my plan. Jake didn't hesitate. "I'm in, and so will everyone else be." Over the next 3 days, I executed my plan with methodical precision. First, I moved all my belongings out of our shared apartment while Melissa was at work, leaving my key on the counter. No note, no explanation, just emptiness where my presence had been. Second, I unblocked all the contacts Melissa had convinced me to remove from my phone and social media. One by one, I reconnected with friends and family, sharing my experience and apologizing for my absence. The outpouring of support was overwhelming. So many had seen what I couldn't and had been waiting for me to break free. Third, I documented everything. Every manipulative text, every gaslighting email, every threatening voicemail from the past 3 years. I hadn't realized how much evidence I had until I compiled it all in one place. The pattern was undeniable and disturbing. Throughout this process, Melissa tried repeatedly to contact me, at first with anger. How dare I leave without permission? Then manipulation. She was worried sick about me. Was I trying to hurt her? Finally, desperation. She couldn't live without me. She would change. She would get help. I maintained complete silence. On the fourth day, I posted a single, carefully worded statement on social media. After years of emotional and psychological abuse, I've finally found the strength to leave. Abuse doesn't always leave visible bruises. Sometimes it leaves you isolated, doubting your worth and reality. To anyone experiencing this, you are not alone, it is not your fault, and there is life after abuse. End emotional abuse. I didn't name Melissa. I didn't need to. Within hours, my post had hundreds of comments and shares. Former friends of ours reached out privately with their own stories of witnessing her behavior. 2 of her ex-boyfriends contacted me, sharing disturbingly similar experiences. Even her former roommate messaged me about the pattern she'd observed across multiple relationships. By evening, my phone showed 13 missed calls from Melissa. The text messages ranged from furious accusations to tearful pleas. I read them all, but responded to none. The final phase of my plan came from an unexpected source: Melissa's workplace. She'd always been obsessed with her professional image, cultivating a reputation as a mentor to younger women in her field. When 2 junior colleagues reached out to thank me for my post, describing how Melissa had bullied and undermined them while presenting a different face to management, I encouraged them to speak to HR. I wasn't seeking revenge. I wanted accountability and for the pattern to end with me. The next morning, my phone exploded with notifications. Melissa had been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation into workplace bullying. Her carefully constructed professional image was crumbling as quickly as her personal one. Have you ever had to rebuild your life from scratch? It's terrifying and liberating in equal measure. Jake insisted I stay with him until I found a new place. My sister drove 6 hours to spend the weekend helping me sort through the emotional aftermath. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years welcomed me back with open arms, without a single, "I told you so." 2 weeks after that fateful dinner, I ran into the waiter who had shown me kindness on the worst night of my life. "You look different," he observed with a smile. "Lighter somehow." "I feel different," I admitted. "I'm still processing everything, but I'm getting there." My sister said the same thing after she left her ex. "It gets easier." "I hope so," I said. "Some days I still question if I overreacted." He shook his head firmly. "That's the abuse talking. Trust me, No one who witnessed what happened that night would think you overreacted. It's been 6 months now. Therapy has helped me understand the dynamics of emotional abuse and why I was vulnerable to it. I've reconnected with my support network and rebuilt my self esteem. I'm even dating again, cautiously, healthily, with clear boundaries. As for Melissa, I heard she's telling anyone who'll listen that I'm unstable, that I misrepresented our relationship, that she's the real victim. Some believe her. That's the thing about manipulators. They're convincing. But her power over me is gone. Sometimes people ask if I regret posting publicly about the abuse. Wouldn't it have been easier to just walk away quietly? Perhaps. But abuse thrives in silence, and I refuse to be silent anymore. The hardest lesson I've learned is that love shouldn't hurt. It shouldn't diminish you or isolate you. It shouldn't leave you walking on eggshells or questioning your worth. Real love builds you up, supports your connections with others, and makes you feel safe. I still have moments of doubt and vulnerability. Recovery isn't linear, but when those moments come, I remember the clarity I felt sitting alone at that restaurant table. The moment I finally understood that I deserved better. If you're in a relationship that's diminishing you, please know that you're not alone. The first step is the hardest, but I promise you, there's a whole world waiting on the other side. A world where you can breathe freely, where your feelings are valid, where you don't have to earn love through sacrifice and suffering. What would you do if you could start over? How would you rebuild your life after toxic love? I'm still figuring it out day by day, but for the first time in years, the future looks bright with possibility rather than dread, and that makes every difficult step of this journey worthwhile.